Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lunch and Learn with Daniel Toe. Welcome to the Stigma-Free Society broadcast. Again, we broadcast different video episodes every single week, and there's multiple hosts, and I am one of them. This is for the Stigma-Free Society, and I am Daniel Toe, or Dr. Daniel Toe from the Surrey School District. Let me turn down the volume now and learn to fade out. I'm learning how to fade out better every single time, so you won't see like cuts of music. And today we're so happy to have Grace Mcdonald and Heather May to speak to us about Healthy and Wealthy. It's a mental health and also financial planning program for teens, and they're going to be sharing that with us today. But I first want to, of course, let all of you know of the sort of proviso I put out every single week is that I work for the Surrey School District. You see our logo on your screen. We are so happy to partner with the Stigma-Free Society and utilize their stigma-free toolkits for mental health and wellness and COVID-19, which they have on their website, on the Stigma-Free website. But please know that everything I say represents the Surrey School District as well as the Stigma-Free Society, and that's who I work for, and that's Stigma-Free Society is who we work with. But having said that, we do want to talk about interesting topics that have to do with mental health and wellness. We're so glad to have Grace Mcdonald and Heather May here with us. I'm going to actually let them introduce themselves, because otherwise I will take over. As all those of you who watch this regularly know, I can talk for a straight half an hour and just like not stop talking. And so I'm going to stop now and introduce Grace Mcdonald and Heather May. I'll let them introduce themselves, both who work in the Surrey community, supporting young people and families. And so I'll turn it over to you folks.
Okay,
Great.
thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Daniel. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for having us today during your lunch break, and we're excited to be here. So I'm Grace Mcdonald.
I'm Heather May.
And we have joined forces to create Healthy and Wealthy, a program to empower young adults.
Healthy and Wealthy is a program where we teach young adults relationship and financial skills so that they can enter adulthood with confidence. And we want to use our professional expertise to support youth, as we feel that two of the most essential skill sets of being a competent adult are being strong in relationships as well as finances.
Wait, before you introduce yourself, sorry. I do have to mention that if you have questions, or if you start logging on, you have questions, and welcome all of you who are viewing both live and also who are viewing after. If you have questions, please ask it in the comment section, and we will answer it. And even if you're viewing this after and you have a question about all of this, you can ask it in the comment section. I will see it, and I'll refer it to Grace and Heather. Okay, I'll stop talking now.
Okay, right. And Daniel, would we see the comments? Or you
would if you log on to the Stigma-Free Society's Facebook or their YouTube, you should be able to see the comments as well.
Okay.
Yeah. If you click on the video, you'll see the comments following under.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you about myself. I'm Grace Mcdonald. I'm a registered clinical counselor and marriage and family therapist. I have a private practice in White Rock, and I work with couples, parents, and individuals. So I'm heavily trained in relationships, so communication, conflict management, learning how to be more connected and preserve emotional safety in a relationship, also in mindfulness and being able to manage your emotions.
I'm Heather May. I work in the South Surrey area as well. I've been in banking for about 14 years now, and I really focus on helping people how they can map out to achieve important milestones in their life, whether it's buying a house, sending their kids to university, or setting up their retirement plan. And so I'm able to help offer ideas on how people can analyze their spending, their budgeting, and savings habits, and identify some small changes that they can implement to really be liberated by the decisions financially that they make. Okay, so we'd like to just pose this question, if everyone can chime in. When you hear this statement, does this seem true? Most teenagers are ready to be capable adults. True or false? You can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
What does everybody think?
I'm not sure if people are seeing this or if they're going to see it later. Sometimes these things are recorded after. So I will answer for them if that's okay.
Yeah.
I would answer fully thumbs down.
Fully thumbs down.
I
Okay,
can tell
yeah.
you, when I was a teenager, I was not a capable adult, and that was like in the 90s. I did not, and you know what? I will add to this. I know that. Sorry, this is problematic when you're broadcasting with me. I sort of have a comment. So
We can handle
the
it.
thing
Yeah.
is, it really depends on also upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So most teenagers, I think, the more well off you are, the less capable you are. Does that make sense? What I've noticed is that, if you grow up with a little bit of something, right, and you have a little bit more freedom of spending, and you don't notice how your stuff shows up at your house that your parents buy for you, you are less capable than if you realize your parents are working like 3 jobs to help your family survive, and you also have to go to work and contribute to the family. Those families who are in higher need, I find their teenagers actually more ready than the families who are maybe have less need. Does that make sense? That's what I found, anyways. Like in my work, I'm not sure if Heather, you
I think
found that.
that's very valid, Daniel. I think it's probably it's dependent family to family. If you don't have to work, then you don't learn how to be responsible. But then there's parents, that struggle in relationships on their own, so that'd be hard to teach their kids to have healthy relationships. So it probably varies from family to family. But what you just said is very valid.
And me being the private, I was the worst. Like I grew up pretty privileged, and I was horrible. I think I only learned to like financially manage like last year. So yeah.
And you're not alone.
You're not alone.
No.
Yeah.
And I was a
I think-
banker also before this. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it's normal
Yeah.
as a teen to feel really like lost, overwhelmed, even unsure. And so, just thinking back, like our own experiences when we were in our late teens, early 20s, it can be really challenged to navigate that.
being a teenager is hard.
It's really hard.
Being an
right?
adult is hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we really just want to help youth feel adult ready and understand the importance of prioritizing their own ability to have healthy relationships, stable finances at an early age. And we also want to empower youth and encourage them so that because they will feel overwhelmed at certain stages, that they can learn how they can work through that and make things feel doable for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Okay. So Healthy and Wealthy addresses the important need to teach relationship and financial skills to young adults. So Daniel, like you said, so kids learn from their parents about relationships and about money. And obviously, for the most part, parents are doing the best that they can with their own skill set.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we all have shortcomings. We cannot do everything perfectly. And parents might realize that they are raising young adults right now, and they feel somewhat helpless or unequipped to guide their teens in the best way. So we want to bridge this gap around these two important areas. And we started this program because adults come to us struggling and want help. And when you are doing something for years in a way that's not serving you, it's harder to undo that. So yes, we can help people, but it's harder. And we realized that if people had these skill sets early on, like when they're 18 years old, they learn how to do this, they might be less likely to run into the problems that a lot of people face in relationships and with money. And when you think about if people haven't been taught this, then no wonder they're struggling later in life.
Yeah.
Today, we want everyone to understand that relationships and money need to be a part of young adult learning.
Absolutely. Like I think the stat is that over, and Heather, you can confirm this. I still follow some banking things, so that's what I did as well. And over, I think it's something like 65% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. The debt to income ratio is beyond payable for many Canadians, right? And that's excluding mortgages.
Right.
So we're talking about like just credit card debt and car loans and like debt that's not including housing. And so, when you look at that, I mean, obviously, when we talk about mental health, Grace, we talk about early intervention, right? Financial mental health and financial health, starting at a younger age is definitely an important thing if you want people to be well off into adulthood. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
And these two areas can seep into each other. Like when you're struggling in one area, it can seep into the other area, right? So they're both very essential and important.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
Well, so for working with Healthy and Wealthy, we really want to help teach young adults how to take on the responsibility of learning these skills that will align with their goals in personal development as well as in financial literacy. And then to build that foundation, we're encouraging young adults to maintain and practice the good habits in order to feel more informed as well as more equipped, instead of that feeling of being unsure and feeling overwhelmed, as well as setting up for success in the sense of being able to, we can help them motivate themselves to take charge of their life now and set goals for their future self.
Okay.
One of the great parts about being an adult is that you can really be in the driver's seat and you have the power to change your life for the better. So you have control over the decisions that you make for yourself around your finances as well as your relationships. So these are some words or some feelings that young people might feel around financial and their relationship status. And so being, you might feel ignorant in the sense that you don't have the knowledge yet. You might feel avoidant. I see that a lot in my job where people are really nervous and scared and just generally don't even want to open their bank statements, right? It can be as basic as that. There's a lot of insecurity that comes with not knowing about or not having some stability in these two areas. You can feel disconnected from yourself, from your family, from your friends, and just a general feeling of being overwhelmed. So we really want to transform their experience to having these emotions and these feelings and into something more like this. So this would be, where we're starting early. We're talking about starting at teenage level. Appreciate the progress. I think it's really important to reward yourself and congratulate yourself for the progress that you make throughout the journey. Building supportive connections like with ourselves, having a community around you where you can go and obtain resources and information and feel really confident with the journey that you're on. Staying informed, we talked about we're all learning and it's not something that you just learn once and then you forget about it. You're just constantly building on these habits and these skills and learning throughout our life. I mean, I am a lifelong learner. I know Grace is too.
So am I.
Just constantly building.
That's great teacher talk. Awesome. Yes.
Yeah. And then just feeling equipped and then taking care of yourself, right? It's really important that you are, paying yourself first with saving for your future or just really kind of building your own internal skills about your relationship strength. And so we're helping to change the narrative so young adults can reach their potential with their ability to navigate their relationships and their finances.
And then what I would add to that, after the last 2 years, which have been very hard on all of us, affected us all in different ways, some more than others. COVID has been something that's out of our control. And these are two things that you can put into your control and do something about, and you can start to do it at an early age. So sometimes what can be helpful is when something does feel out of control and big, that you look for ways that you can take control over your life. And these are very healthy, productive ways to do that.
I think one of the reasons why finances can be a struggle is because of the catharticism, the cathartic feeling you get when you spend money. Like when you're buying something new, right? It makes you feel good. And so I think that, especially during COVID, this pandemic, and people, even the ones who are on CERB, like the government funding for during COVID, the pandemic, or you're on employment insurance or on something, you're in a state, we're in a constant state of stress and almost depression for some people, right? And it's constant state of sadness. And so spending and going out to, I got this new phone, I got this new jacket, I got this new, spending makes you feel good, like it just inherently does. And
temporarily,
so that's the danger, right? From your last slide, to get out of all of those feelings, to feel like this. Some people feel spending is you almost have to spend your way out of it, right? And you see friends who have more things, have more stuff, and you're like, I want stuff too, right? And that's sort of like the vicious cycle, and why people a lot of times get into debt. They want a bigger house or a bigger car or a better jacket, better pair of shoes, and it's almost like a loss of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so I think I think that's true for all of us. Do different things to cope, and then like spending money is like a temporary instant high. And we need more of that when you're not feeling good. I think it's just to stay mindful of how much you're doing that, to the point where in the long term it's a detriment to yourself. And
Yes.
when you do these kind of things in your life regularly, you do feel good about yourself. It's not like an right in the moment instant
Yeah.
thing, but in the
Yeah.
long term, when you are working hard to have good relationships and take care of your
Yes.
finances for the long term, that feels really, it's very
Yeah.
rewarding. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry I interrupted your slides, but keep going.
No,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
that's
okay.
okay.
Okay, so I'm going to tell everyone about our program. So the Healthy and Wealthy program consists of a series of classes where young adults learn skills to be financially independent, skills to be in healthy relationships, and they receive take-home resources from us and then follow-up support.
Oh, awesome.
So classes would ideally be done in person, just because human connection is better than the computer, but we also use Zoom, and there's benefits to both. Our program is most beneficial in small class sizes, just because the two subject matters are more vulnerable than other subjects. So
Mm-hmm.
students then feel safer to ask their questions, because the only way you can learn is by asking questions. Students can connect and then don't feel alone in their own experience and their concerns. Skills are more likely to be integrated in smaller class sizes, where you're not like in a big room, you could just be one of many and kind of tune out. And then Heather and I can better attend to each individual need of the students.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways this can be offered. It can be offered in the school setting. It also can be offered privately. Ideally, we'd like it to be accessible to all youth ages 16 to 25. That would be our goal. We can customize it depending on student needs, location, funding, all the different factors. The resources, we try to give a take-home resource each class that would go with what they just learned in the class. So like Heather teaches budgeting, and so she would give them an Excel budgeting sheet that they can use to continue to make their own budgets. And
Awesome.
then I would be teaching communication skills, so I would have like notes, a step-by-step process as to how to practice that at home, so that you're practicing good communication skills with other people. And then we feel like to really enhance their learning, to make it a new skill set, we would offer them follow-up support. So weekly touch
I love
point
that. That's
weekly
awesome.
touch point groups where we're supporting their homework, and then monthly touch point groups where they can hear each other and how they're doing, and then we're supporting their progress once the classes are over.
So you've actually done this before, I know, after having talked to you. What's the reaction like, or the response like, to your weekly the follow up? Because that's something I see as unique, a little bit different than most financial planning courses. A lot of times you just go take a course and then you're done, and like, good luck, have fun with this Excel, good luck, right? Whereas for you,
Right.
you're offering follow up from a counseling and financial perspective. What's been the uptick like for you folks when you offer that?
I think the help is needed. Like it's not like they feel a lot better, but in order for it, I think too, when someone's held accountable, like they know you're going to meet in a month,
Yeah.
then they are more likely to continue the work.
Yeah.
But even with our own professional skill set, like when I've been in a training, for me to really integrate what I'm learning, I'm in a regular consultation group, or I seek that out. So I
Yeah.
think for any learning, it helps you continue what you just learned and integrate it into the way that you're being. And I think students, young adults, really like having a trusting, helping adult in their life, consistent
Mhm.
adult that's encouraging them to do well and be responsible.
Mhm.
So it's been positive. Would you add anything?
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious what the response is like. That's awesome. Keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, it's
That's
okay.
okay.
We're okay. Yeah, no. You have good questions. So a big part of what we're trying to do is help students develop good habits at an early age. So they're learning by doing in class and at home, and then students are held accountable for their home practice work. So the skills are being integrated and then become new automatic ways of being in life.
Okay.
The more informed and more equipped you become, you're more likely to self-intervene when you start to realize that you're doing something that you now know doesn't serve you.
Okay.
And you're more likely to better handle hard moments, which we all know happens in life all the time.
Yeah.
Teenage brains are still developing. So this is a really good time for them to learn new helpful ways of being. When they start to do, when a part of your brain is given attention and you do something over and over, you build new neural pathways, and then that becomes automatic ways of being. And that's how you have new habits, and it just becomes automatic. So that can be when you're doing healthy, good things, and then when you're also doing things the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
And so it's harder to change when you've been doing something for years and it's the wrong way. So we're really trying to help youth prioritize being in healthy relationships and healthy have healthy finances, and start good habits from an early age, so that you're later in life, it's a little bit easier on you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm the counselor, so I am teaching the relationship skills.
Okay.
So anyone can benefit from learning relationship skills.
Yes.
Even healthy, good relationships are a lot of work, as we all know. They can have rough times, but it can feel less hard when you have some tools. So one thing I teach is how to communicate honestly and effectively. So this means learning how to speak to another person so that they want to keep listening to you. Learning how to express your feelings, learning how to stay grounded when you're talking about something that's emotionally charged. So those are all things that have to do with being able to communicate effectively. I also teach how to jointly solve problems. So this is healthy arguing. So healthy arguing does not involve negativity. So like putting people down, making people feel bad. So being able to differentiate that. Healthy arguing, what students would learn is that arguing is normal. It's how you do it is the issue.
Right.
And arguing, you can, like a healthy relationship, you can argue and then you're okay afterwards. Where when it's unhealthy, arguing means you hate each other, you don't talk to each other, you're punishing each other, or you break up, right? So differentiating that, that it's normal and that you can be okay afterwards. Another important thing I teach is your ability to manage anger and to be aware of how you're doing with that, and your ability to calm down. So anger is normal, and everyone has it. And so the issue is when you cross the boundary and scare somebody.
Right.
So just being able to manage yourself, and that you feel confident that if you started to feel out of control, you could calm yourself down. And so that's everybody's responsibility to be able to do that in a relationship. So just being clear about that with the students. And then the last thing that I teach that's important is everyone's ability to have empathy for other people. So that empathy is the highest form of connecting with another person. And it's when you can move yourself into someone else's experience and perspective and feelings. So it's really important to be able to do this. So it's especially important if you care about the other person. You want to be able to have empathy for them. And it's the hardest to do when you are different from another person or disagree with what they're saying. So you can still be different. Two people can be different and disagree, and you can still stay connected and have empathy for that person. And when you do that, you're acting like a grown-up in a relationship. So then the students would learn this important differentiation, and then to be able to have empathy for other people.
Okay.
So I think, go ahead, Daniel.
No, so I know you'll get into this, but I'm looking at my clock tick. I'm like, oh, we've already at 23 minutes. You see, I told you, half an hour just goes by. So what is the link between the relationships and the money management? Like, how do these things link together? I think that's probably another slide of yours shortly, but I just wanted to make sure we put that out there before we ran out of time.
No, good question.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll just quickly talk about my skills,
please
and
do.
then we can tie them. We'll tie them together.
Sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
please do. Yeah.
So financial health is essential to someone's overall well-being, and so when you aren't stable in your finances, we kind of talked about that, you're in a constant state of stress or chaos, which really can affect other areas of your life.
Yes.
So my class will provide students with the opportunity to talk about money, learn from each other, transform their relationship with money, and have really just a healthier mindset about money.
That's amazing.
And these 4 skills that I will help teach and go into, of course, more detail, really will help young adults take charge of their finances, grow their wealth, and enjoy their life. In terms of them commingling, or really where the crossover is we did kind of talk about that in the sense that when you, in terms of your overall happiness in your life, finances can cause a great deal of stress. But when you can really be in the driver's seat of what your financial future and your stability looks like, not only as a young adult, but going into the future, we have kids. What does that look like? You want to buy a house, you want to do all these amazing milestones in your life. How can you achieve them so that you can really feel amazing, confident, and taking control of that is part of being an adult, and having that skill set is really important. And it does cross mingle into, if you're in a relationship, finances play a big part in terms of people getting divorced, right? Like that's a really big relationship challenge that a lot of couples can face. So you can have better relationships and you can have a healthier and happier life by focusing on having good financial habits, which it trickles into your relationship and your overall well-being of yourself.
And then what I would add to that is there's research to support how they are related. So it'd be very hard to have a really good relationship and then have a lot of financial stress going on, or that one of you is irresponsible and the other one is working really hard. That's gonna take a toll on the relationship. So that they're very dependent on each other for overall happiness. There's also research to support that when two people are contributing equally, not just financially, but in lots of different ways, but when they're working together, that then you have a better relationship. So I think it's that you have to be working on both areas to have an overall healthy mindset, and it can't just be one or the other. And it's learning that how you behave starts to, once you become in a relationship, it impacts your family and your partner. So you can't just think, you've got to think about the bigger picture and the future.
When my wife and I got married, and not everyone needs to get married, but when we enter into a relationship that's long term, the recommendation was to do marriage counseling. And the number one thing in relationship or marriage counseling that we encountered was actually a big topic about finances. Because regardless of who makes more or who does less or whatever, we needed, what the counselor said to us is, we needed agreement on what we were going to do. So not so much the jobs and whatever, right? But like, what are you agreeing on as to the state of how your finances will be? So my wife, for example, she's the one that saves and I'm the one that pays all the bills because of the way that our finances work out. But we agree to that. So I'm not angry about it.
So everyone can look different. But it's that you both agree to it and it works for your family.
That's right.
And just one more thing, Daniel, before we end here, is we just want to let everybody know that we are having a webinar on October 30th.
Oh, awesome.
So this is short, but it's an introduction to Healthy and Wealthy, and all youth are welcome to attend. And so you can register on our website. And if there's any issues in attending, you can contact us. But we want to encourage anybody that's interested. This is a great way to learn more about what we are doing and how important it is to be good at both of these things before you sign up for classes. So we're doing that on October 30th. We have a couple slides just to show. I don't know how much time we have.
A couple minutes. Go through the slides for sure. Definitely.
Okay, so this is just an example of something I go over in the webinar. So I differentiate healthy and unhealthy relationships. So I make it really clear what a healthy relationship looks like. And then students should know what's okay and not okay. And that there's a difference between problems and then going to an unhealthy place. And the more aware you are of that, you're less likely to be stuck in something that doesn't feel good. So I go over that in the webinar.
And then this is a paycheck budget that I would go through with the students. And so we would work through this, and that would be like a take-home resource that they could have so that they could, edit any fields that they want to. And when you use tools like this is where you start to build those habits and the behaviors really start to develop.
That's awesome.
Okay, and this is just our contact info.
Leave this one up before we end.
Okay, sure.
Yes. So on Instagram, we're constantly posting regular tips and information about upcoming classes. We just did a giveaway that was really great. And so with our email as well as our website where you can register for our upcoming webinar, but we're constantly posting new content to help young adults really just navigate these two topics.
Yes.
I'm trying to find you on Instagram. Hold on. We can
Yeah.
go overtime because I'm in control of the device. Okay.
Okay.
Ready to be healthy, wealthy. Let's follow. There we go. Instagram. So good.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Love it. And again, just so for those of you watching either now or maybe you're watching this after, and most people do watch this a little bit later, depending on the topic. But please know that again, there's such a connection between finances,
Yes.
wellness. I think we never talk about that. We don't talk about that enough. I've done so many sessions on mental health, and never does financial well-being really come into it, other than do you have employment, right? But
Right.
like again, the number one thing that I went through in marriage counseling was, hey, you guys got to agree on finances. And one of them, Grace, you know this, the number, maybe not number one. I think marriage infidelity is number one, but the second reason why marriage
It's up there.
break
Yeah.
up is financial disharmony, is why
Yes.
people their relationships break up, even friendships, business relationships,
Yeah.
siblings,
Mhm.
right? Relationship fracture.
So it
A lot of
affects
that
any
is,
relationship.
right,
Yeah.
is around financial disharmony in the family. And I think that, my brother and I even talk about that. Again, coming from a bit of a more of a privileged environment, we talked about years ago, like, we're going to share everything. Our family stuff is our family stuff. And, we're never going to fight about money. We made that agreement when we were teenagers, and we live that to this day. And
Good.
so,
Good for you.
right. But that's important because,
It is.
with family dynamics and COVID and stuff, it's easy for my brother and I to fight over money, and we don't at all. We openly share with each other, and he shares with he is not married or anything, so he buys my kids way too many things, but like that's just but there's never any.
But that's good. You stay connected over something that sometimes can divide other families.
That's right. We never look at each other's bills. We pay for each other's dinner. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. We never charge each other anything, and it really is but the finances really can break up. So I'm so glad you have this session. We are a little bit over time, but please go to Grace and Heather's website. I just followed them on Instagram. There's their Gmail. There's their website. They have that seminar on October 30th. It's $59, which is it's a great investment if you want to learn to not lose $59 later on. So I would invest in that. It's like any sessions of that caliber are usually hundreds of dollars. $59. Start young. We believe in mental health, early intervention. Finances should definitely been a part of that. Grace and Heather have presented to people in our school, kids in our school district, and they have found it really helpful just moving forward in their lives so that they can be healthy and maybe wealthy. Wealthy is sort of like a weird thing. Like, what does it mean to be wealthy? Well, as long as you feel comfortable and happy in your life state, that to me is wealthy.
It's
right?
personal, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a personal wealth, right? You don't need to be a millionaire or $1 million to feel like you got your life situated well, right? So thank you so much for your time, and I will play you out to some music. No, I won't. I'm not going to. Actually, no, I will. I'm going to be consistent in my way of doing this podcast, and I always struggle with the end music, as all our viewers know.
Thank you, Daniel.
But thank you so much.
It's our pleasure to be here.
And you were on the Stigma-Free Society's broadcast today. We interviewed Grace and Heather from Ready to Be Healthy and Wealthy. Check out their website, their Instagram, email them. October 30th, they have that session. Thank you for having lunch with us. And if you're watching this after, which many of you are, thank you for having your snack with us, or whenever you're watching this on your run. Feel free to contact Grace and Heather if you have any more questions, and contact me. My information is on all of the different comment sections of the website, as well as the YouTube channel. Contact me if you have any other questions. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for eating with us and having lunch with us. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you.